Hello, class. Today we'll be talking about the cost of home ownership. This is 8.7. If you're looking at the notes that's online, there's a lot more to this section, but the main thing I want to focus on is your cost of home ownership. So basically calculating the cost of what you might pay for home ownership. So my objective, I'm to compute the monthly payment and interest cost for a mortgage payment. So a mortgage is a long-term loan for the purpose of buying a home. The down payment is the portion of the sales price of the home that the buyer initially pays to the seller. The amount of mortgage is the difference between the sales price and the down payment. Some companies call mortgage brokers offer to find you a mortgage lender willing to make you a loan. Fixed rate mortgages are the same monthly payment during the entire time of the loan. Variable mortgage payments are known as adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs, have payments amounts that change from time to time depending on changes in the interest rate. Now, most people try to get fixed rates because they know that their mortgage loans will stay the same. So I would say the best option for most people is to get a fixed rate because if you remember back when a lot of people was getting the variable loans and they was paying a cheaper price, and a lot of people lost their homes because of the fact of the interest rate went so high that they couldn't afford their homes. So if they try to give you a fixed interest loan, I would take the fixed interest loan over the variable rate loan. So, competition involved with buying a home. Most lending institutions require the buyer to pay one or more points at a time of closing. That is the time at which the mortgage begins. A point is a one-time charge of that equals 1% of the loan amount. For example, 2 points means the buyer has to pay 2% of the mortgage loan of the loan amount at closing. A document called Truth in Lending Disclosure Statement shows the buyer the APR for the mortgage. In addition, lending institutions can require that part of the monthly payment be deposited into a escrow account, an account used by the lender to pay real estate taxes and insurances. So basically, you have a lot of things in the process of buying a home. You just have to make sure that you have the right people in your corner or the right people around you to understand exactly what you're doing. So, computation involved by buying a home. Loan payment formula for fixed installment loans. It says the regular payment amount PMT, just like we seen with the car payment, required to pay back to repay a loan of P dollars paid N times per year over T years at annual rate R is given by PMT is equal to P times R over N all over bracket 1 minus parentheses 1 plus R over N close parentheses raised to the NT negative NT. So remember, do not forget that negative in front of NT and close bracket. Now, if you notice, this is the same as the car payment formula. So don't let it fool you. It's the same principle, but you just have different rates, different things that you have to pay at the beginning. So let's look at an example, which is our final example anyway for this. So it says computing the monthly payment and interest cost for a mortgage. It says the price of a home is $195,000. The bank requires 10% down payment. and 2 points at time of closing. The cost of the home is financed with 30 with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 7.5%. So the first thing we have to do is find what is the required down payment. Now, if we're looking for 10% of the required down payment, so we just have to multiply by what? So it'd be 0.10 times your 195,000. And when you multiply that, you get what? 19,500. So that's how much you have to put down for a down payment. Now, make sure if you have any questions about this, you make sure you hit me up through Moodle or hit me up in Microsoft Teams or send me an email. Now, let's find the amount of mortgage. So, what we're going to do is we have the amount of mortgage is equal to the sales price minus the down payment. So we have to do the 195,000 minus the 19,500. And when we do this, we get 175,500. So now for part C, we have to figure out how much must be paid for the 2 points at closing. So to figure out that, we know that we have to find 2% of 175,500. So we multiply 0.02 times 175,500. Then, once we multiply that, we should get roughly $3,510. So that's what you're going to have at closing. So now we want to find the monthly payment, excluding extra taxes and insurance. So when we do this, we have to do what? We have to make sure we go ahead and plug it into our what? Formula. So remember, the formula is the same as the car payment formula. So we have payment is equal to, then we have 175,500 times 0.075 all over 12, all over bracket 1 minus 1 plus 0.075 all over 12 raised to the negative, then it's NT. So in this case, we got our N, it would be 12, and then our T would be 30, so it'll be 12 times 30. All right. So we do 12 times 30. All right, then we close our bracket. So we got PMT is equal to roughly about $1,227 per month. So your payment per month would be around about $1,227. So make sure you go back through this problem before you can make sure you understand how much you'll be paying at these rates. Now, we have one more thing that we have to do. So that was just your monthly payment, and that was excluding any extra taxes or insurances. Let's find the total interest paid over the 30 years. So to figure out the total interest paid over the 30 years, we have to take what we just got, which was 1,227, multiply that times our 12 times our 30 years, because it's 12 months, then we have 30 years. Then we need to subtract the 175,500, all right, which is the mortgage. So when we do that, we get $266,220. So that's the total amount of interest that you would pay with a 30-year mortgage, starting with a house that started, that's the total amount that you would get, starting with a house that started at $175,000. So if you notice, you pay more interest than you pay for the actual house itself if you stretch it out for 30 years. So keep that in mind. You know, just make sure your fixed rate, you have a good fixed rate. Make sure you have a low interest rate. This one is 7.5%. I mean, it's higher than usual, but most people have to get an interest rate in between them first starting out. So just make sure when you go through this problem, you understand what you're actually doing. Now, if you get confused about anything, make sure you email me or hit me up on Google, on Microsoft Teams, so we can go through the problem again. If you have any questions about 8.7, please let me know as soon as possible.